Hello! YouTube is a rabbit hole. I saw these junk journals being made by everybody and I think I watched hours and hours, like ridiculous amounts of YouTube watching, just people making these sorts of journals. And I was so pleased with my first one that I wanted to make another one, and it turned out my mother-in-law liked this, but this is mine! So I decided to make a second one for her and did a few things that I knew that she would like. She collects roosters and she's a big fan of these sorts of windmill type, or no, weathering? I don't know. You know, the big things you put out in your yard and the wind turns it. Anyways. Oh, and with my first one, I kept it kind of plain, just layering paper and color and different sorts of tissues and things like that. But for hers, I played with these skeleton leaves and glued those down, which is cool because it gives it a nice texture, and burlap, which I actually worried that it was going to be like a weaponized book, because if you glue burlap it gets really hard, but I kind of softened that down. And there's peacock feather, which I learned gluing it down. Probably if I were going to do it again I wouldn't, but it's cool, you know. I put over some shiny green metallic to make up for the kind of damage that the gluing did. And my favorite part, it's kind of hard to see, this crackle finish, and that's YouTube's fault also, because I saw people using the oh shoot, Tim Holtz or something like that crackle stuff where you can do the crackle on top. The only crackle I'd seen before was the sort where you have to do like a layer of paint, then the crackle, then more paint, but this is much more fun because you can make even a regular printed paper look like it's antique and something found in a farmhouse. And I use some of those cool little pieces of, you know, a person really ought to make a list of everything that they use before they start a video. I just realized, because I can't remember anything! Oh shoot, what's that stuff called? Gold leaf! Only my stuff's not just gold leaf, it's like copper and got metallic green and stuff like that. And I've had it for ages, so it was a good excuse to play with that as well. I used some folder type things. It was green ones that are a little stiffer than that to make the cover, and I stitched, it's kind of hard to see, my signatures to the spine. And then I'm so paranoid that they're gonna fall out, although I used a really strong outdoor quality thread, but I glued over top of them as well. Let's see. I don't have like a collection of a bunch of papers. This is the sort of thing that'll be satisfying for me to do for a little while, but I'm not, you know, dedicating the rest of my life to making junk journals, so I just used what I had. But I kind of got a kick out of all the graph papers from my husband's old chemistry notebook, I think from college. Why we still have that, I don't know. Tissue paper from old patterns that I wasn't using. I found free graphics on, what's that place called? ISX? SXC? .hu. SXC.hu. They have, you can also pay for images, but they also have quite a library of free stock images that you can use. And we go there quite often if there's, and this is just a gift, not like a resale thing, so I'm covered within the rights of usage there. So that's where I got her windmill thing. And the rooster with the kind of sunset image as well. And so let's see, yeah, 2 skeleton leaves and some lace I had to make it look kind of more a little bit country style. And let's see, papers were just from an old book. These papers with the text are from an old book that he had that, it was like newspaper headlines from Los Angeles. Kind of a strange book, but anyways, it's all chopped up now. But the because it was historical headlines, the text is cool. It's all like a little tiny old school font. And yellow tissue from some packaging that I had. And I guess if I'm honest, it's from toilet paper. Which I kinda get a kick out of using weird things. For mine, like this is the one for my mother-in-law. For the one that I made for myself, I did a little bit more plain tissue inside, and I made my signature thing a separate thing that I can take out. For hers, I sewed it right into the book, which actually went a little easier than I expected. It turns out if you do it at your workbench instead of cross-legged on the sofa in front of the coffee table, that it's much easier. And oh yeah, this is kind of a weird thing. It's like I think I used a button and just a plastic shaft from a pile of, you know, odds and ends that I have, and I wired it with a button to hold it, you know, steady, and I put lots of glue over top so it wouldn't have any shifting. And for the elastic part, I used some grommets. They're just like supposed to be for fabric, so that it wouldn't fray on this too bad. This is just from my stash, and I'm thinking I'll have to replace that for some time because it feels like it's already losing some elasticity. And again, you can see I just used some of the paper tape that I used to stiffen the folder show through, and I've got old pattern pieces and pattern tissue, an actual, I think that was an ear or something from my craft pattern. And I'm probably not the only person who felt like guilty destroying something. Well, it's not destroying, I guess giving new life to something that somebody else, you know, paid for a long time ago. I'm gonna quit talking about that now. I'll make myself more guilty. And more skeleton leaves, which are cool. And I love it when people do this in their videos, where you get to hear the texture, like that it's not just like smooth. You can hear that they've let texture build up, because I don't think that always shows on camera. So that's how that looks. I think it's pretty cool. I didn't really pick a color theme exactly, but I guess the sunset colors kind of spread the pink and the gold around a little bit. These are more... Okay, so my idea for her, it's not really, I'm thinking a junk journal for her so much as like a scrapbook or like a memorabilia book, or a place to stuff photographs or recipes, or I don't know, whatever. So I kind of heavy on the pockets. It's, in fact, I'd say it's like 98% pockets. And I used, again, pretty much tore through my husband's old he had like a banker's box full of these manila folders. You know, everything's on the computer nowadays, and we would have recycled them, but I got them and made big pockets. I even left some of the text that he had inside. This is like 98, so old. Just that, I think she'll get a kick out of that too. Old card envelopes. I don't send cards anymore, so I had a few envelopes, so I thought I would use those. And I tried to sew as much as I sort of wanted to. This is a Google envelope. They sent us something, so but I thought it was pretty cool, so I left their logo there. And I tried to indicate for her any place that she can put, like tuck something in with these tabby things. And this is kind of embarrassing to admit. Somebody gave these to me like, I don't know, 8 years ago, and I had no idea what they were. I just thought they were weird shaped stickers. But it turns out they're little tabby things. You can make you laugh now. I added a little button I got for, it was actually like one of those little prizes you get for donating a couple dollars to someone's Kickstarter campaign. And it was cute, but I don't really need a button, so. And I dug around till I found most of the small clips like this, so she can clip in images and stuff like that. I took a break, but you don't know that. Okay, so I also used full pages from the book I mentioned before. It was like a historical, it wasn't an old book, but it had copies of historical headlines from the Los Angeles Times, which means, you know, nothing really to me, but I like the cool old-timey text look, and the book in itself is like 20 years old or something, so it had started to age. So little pockety things. Is anybody else paranoid about their knots coming undone? I think I'm going to add a drop of glue there. And secret little rub-on thingamajiggy. And I had one of these little notebook thingies and ripped out most of the pages and stuck them in some of the pockets so she can write on them. Or if nothing else, it won't break my heart if she just throws them away, and then it just to indicate she can stick stuff in there. And this is like handmade paper, but it's not paper I made. It's paper I got free in the mail one time. I don't even know why, but kind of cool. Kind of a pockety thing. Oh, this was cool. I forgot to mention. So these are these manila folders. So I used my junk cutter to square it up, and I think it worked out to be like 11.5 by 16 inches. And I just, my printer can accommodate large paper, so I put that in, open like this, and just pick some random designs in Photoshop. This is actually a paintbrush, I think it is, yeah, with a like a not very high opacity, so it makes like a skeleton leaf effect. And I just did like random, you know, paintbrush to put the leaves all over, just so they weren't all boring yellow manila envelopes. But I was really impressed because it printed great. My printer didn't, it had a little trouble with the edges, but it's a junk journal, so there you go. And I used up some old vellum paper. Oh, this paper is funny. It's kind of, it's hard to see, but it's kind of fancy paper. Here's my quotation: fancy paper. It might even be like a linen quality or something like that. And it has a watermark. And the only reason we purchased it, because back when I'm from Canada originally, I was doing my INS paperwork. I think it was that. They requested it had to be on a particular type paper. And I'm sure regular paper would have been fine, and maybe I misread, but we went out and bought special paper just to print the forms for the INS. So then I had like a box of like, you know, 70 more sheets of this stuff that I had no reason to use. So I finally got a second life for it. These are some of those. I tried to put something everywhere to indicate where the pocket part is, so she's not, you know, ripping her book apart. These are just those big card envelopes. Tons of those, stickers, binder clip thingy. Another print I did on a manila envelope. Like I said, I printed it like this. And then that was my signature! And just, I think my favorite part about the junk journals I saw online that I was trying to emulate was just the kind of random, just sticking of things. Like I said, I don't have any desire to journal or to even add anything to my own. I kind of like all the pockets and all the little paper clips and the little, you know, all those things. It's sort of cool in and of itself. And anyway, more of my fancy INS paper, I'm gonna call it. This is the those rub-on thingies, which are cool, and I had for years that someone gave me, but and pocket, and the other side of my manila envelope. I stitched wherever I felt like it. Oh, this is from the same box of my husband's stuff. Look, 1994. It had a little like calendar thing in it where you write in your appointments. It's like, isn't it funny how that stuff is already kind of archaic? Like, I mean, I don't mean to. There's probably people who still use paper calendars, but it just, you know, it doesn't beep when it's time to go somewhere or give you a 3-day heads up that someone's birthday is coming, so it seems very archaic to me. I stitched that in, but it's a nice little faux leather plastic thing, and I know his mom will get a kick that I'm using his old stuff to make her a journaly thing, so. Teeny weeny pocket. Oh, this paper I got when we used to live in California from a Michaels, and it's vellum and really pretty, like a botanical print, and I only bought one sheet. I didn't have a plan for it, but what happens is I didn't know what to do with it, and it was too pretty to use for anything, so it got all crinkled and messed up just from years of like moving and tossing it in boxes. So I felt very pleased that I was able to salvage some and do something with it, because, you know, it's kind of sad to have bought it and never used it. Another print. I'll tell her she can stick my photo there. Lace doily. Vellum pocket. I think those are cool. If she puts a photo, that'll show up nicely. I just realized doing this on camera is a good way to sort of break in all the pages too. That was my other thought, was with the button and stuff, you can't really do long journaling in it. Not comfortably anyways. I was thinking of it, it'll make a better album, I think. But anyways, it's nice to make it lay flat. More paper. That's kind of, I used to buy all the decorated papers so I could send letters to my grandma when she was alive. And pocket. Another print I did. Another of the botanical print pocket paper. random words. More envelopes. I would have used more of these types of things. The cool business envelopes, the security envelopes that you get in the mail. But I didn't know I was going to go on this junk journal making adventure. So, you know, I had like 2, and my recycling had been emptied recently, so poor me, not enough trash. Oh yeah, this is my last signature. I actually double stick taped the rest of that little notebook in there. Oh, this is the sort of file folder that the actual cover's made out of. It was almost big enough, like, to make a book. I had to glue a little extra width so I could get the fold over effect. Pockets. Oh, this was cool. This was from my husband's file folder thing too. He had a whole bunch of pages of fonts printed out because he does websites and stuff like that, and used to do a lot of cable commercials and things like that when we lived in California, and he used to print out the fonts so his clients could pick. But again, it seems like so long ago. You wouldn't print fonts nowadays. You'd just hand someone a tablet or just pick for them, whatever. Again, this is actually very, I just realized, very recycled, sort of. Like of old papers that aren't used very much. This is the cases that he used to put the tapes in when he made commercials, like VHS tapes. You know, it's folded flat right now, but another font. I made a pocket. I should put something there so she can see. I just realized it looks very flat, but it's like a bunch of pockets. So I'll add some stickers there. Oh, and I saw people were putting little Ziploc bags into their thing. I thought that's really cool, because if you had, like, I don't know, a photo or a piece of lace or ribbon or some little bit of memorabilia, I thought that was a really clever way to tuck it in. And another pocket. And it's the end. Ta-da! That looked pretty cool. Yeah. Oh, I should do a stress test before I give it to her. If that all fell out, you'd get to hear me crying on camera. Hey, that's pretty cool.